Nothing, to me, brings a town together like a good football team.
I'm up and bouncing around like a little kid waiting on Santa Claus.
This is what I'm meant to do. This is my passion. This is what gives me fruit.
I was ready to do this last January. I was ready to crank it back up again.
The day I lose my passion and energy and my commitment to excellence, I'll walk out of the building.
The first game's it's gonna be crazy, you know, walking down that tunnel.
The wins and losses will come and go, but you never forget relationships. At the end of the day, the kids will teach you a lot more than you'll ever teach them.
To me, that's the magic of high school football.
Welcome into the season debut of High School Scoreboard Live. Rick Renner alongside the most influential man in high school football in the state of Texas, if not the world, Craig Way. What a night. For the first time ever, we have two back-to-back champs playing each other for the first time. An Alaska team playing a Texas high school in Texas, who just happens to be a #1, and we open up McLean Stadium in Waco tonight.
It's one of the great things about high school football, the fact that you can start the season with a blockbuster non-district game. The key is it's all non-district, and you find out quite a bit about yourself, and I think we all have found out a little bit about some of the other teams. There were some eyebrow-raising results across the state of Texas tonight, Rick.
Game of the night featuring #1 Allen and 7th-ranked Denton Geyer, both going for the three-peats. Texas A&M bound Kyler Murray is looking to become the first major classification quarterback to lead his high school to a 3rd straight title. He's never lost as a starter at Allen. Looking to go 28-0 tonight. Love these huge matchups in week #1. And right out of the chute, here's Allen's Kyler Murray. Look at him, first play of the game, fakes the handoff. You might want to stop the best player in the state, right? Well, he'll go 76 yards for the score, and Allen is on the board early and often, up 7-0. Then Allen's running back sensation, David Feliciano. He shows you he's got some wheels. He'll go 59 yards for the score, and Allen is rolling in the first half. Nearly 400 yards of offense in the first half alone, 13-0. Then the Eagles' Murray finds Cody Butler on the 35-yard dart. Look out for the goalpost. Ooh, hits it hard. He's okay, thank goodness. And Allen gets the Denton Geyer Wildcats 55-41. Great win for Allen, the school with no home. They made Geyer look like their feet were stuck in concrete. Murray threw for nearly 400 yards. He ran for 100 in this game.
Yeah, it's a great way for Allen to start, and yet Geyer knows they play the best team, the #1 team in the state, so not such a bad deal. Speaking of #1s, it wasn't that long ago that Todd Dodge was leading Southlake Carroll to back-to-back state championships. In fact, at one point, the Dragons, the mighty Dragons, had gone 79-1 over a 4-year stretch, and he then departed, tried it out at the college ranks, and then back to the high school ranks, down to Austin, and then taking over at Westlake High, taking them back to where else? Southlake, to take on the Carroll Dragons. And early on, for Carroll senior back Ryan Agnew, trying to go deep downfield, but junior safety Matt Kelly picking him off. Carroll, however, returns the favor a little later. Kevin Kramer beating the receiver to come up with an impressive one-handed interception. Carroll was trailing 7-3 at the half, went up 17-7. Westlake came back, got a late touchdown, recovered the onside kick, but could not cash it in, and Southlake Carroll wins it 17-14. Well, speaking of other highly ranked teams, how about the Desoto Eagles in the top 10, visiting Arlington Martin? Another one of those big-time matchups between schools with some good enrollments. Second quarter, 4th and goal for the Eagles. Christian Wallace up the middle for the touchdown. It's 21-6, and so he just looks bigger than Desmond White.
It's weird.
There.
It's weird.
For Desoto later in the second, first play after Martin had scored to come back with a touchdown. Here goes Wallace again. This time, 76 yards.
Look at a big fella go.
28-14, a shootout. A lot of shootouts in week 1. Defenses still trying to find their way through it, and DeSoto wins at 55-30.
Meanwhile, #5 Euless Trinity taking on Eastern Christian Academy of Maryland. That's right, Maryland. How about first quarter action? Tyler Nady finding Marcus McCray for the 4-yard strike. Trinity on the board, 7-0. Second quarter, it's McCray again. This time a 14-yard run for the score. Trinity wins it 41-32, the final there. there. And that leads us to the top 10 results presented by State Farm. A huge one on Saturday as defending state champion Cedar Hill takes on South Oak Cliff, a team many think might be the first Dallas ISD team to actually get and win a state championship game.
It's certainly possible. That Cedar Hill with DeMarcus Lodge, perhaps the best receiver in all of Texas. The Katie Kingwood matchup, also intriguing. And, of course, the Cibolo Steel, San Antonio Madison. That always seems to be a really compelling matchup in week one.
So, Craig, it's easy to say Allen is the best Class 6A team in the state. I'm not going on a limb saying that. But in your mind, who do you think has the best challenge for number one out of that bunch?
I think you have to start with Katie. I mean, folks are going to start with Katie. Been talking about this for the past few years, that Katie and Allen, would they ever get together? Katie continues to go in the past 5A, now at 6A, Division II, while Allen would take the Division I route. It is possible that Katie could wind up playing in the D1 bracket, depending on the other higher enrollments. There are 2 higher enrollments than Katie in the Katie ISD, if that all pans out. However, lest we forget, Joey McGuire's got a defending state champion in Cedar Hill. He has probably the best wide receiver in the state in DeMarcus Lodge. He knows how to beat Katie since he just did that. So don't count them out. And there's several other teams I think you can't sleep on as well. But those are probably the usual suspects that you start with.
Yeah, those Longhorns under Joey McGuire looking to get to a state title game in 3 straight years. Let's take a break. Coming up next, we open up McLean Stadium in style. And the Fox Sports Southwest Express rolling into the city of Stephenville. The #1 Yellow Jackets doing battle with the team from Alaska. It's the DQ Big Game of the Week. Hop on the bus for highlights and reaction later.
Dealer near you. By DQ, the stop sign of Texas. For the best treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. Stop at DQ. And by State Farm. Visit texas.statefarm.com to get to a better state.
It's the house that Art Briles and former Coppers Cove standout RG3 built. McLean Stadium on the banks of the Brazos River, an amazing $266 million facility, opening up with high school football tonight, featuring #1 Aledo and Cedar Park, the last 2 Class 4A Division II champs. What a scene. Remember, Aledo setting all those national scoring records, but Cedar Park did a great job defensively early on in this one. As we look at that gorgeous stadium, can't see it enough. Third quarter, 10-7 Cedar Park, 3rd and short for the T-Wolves, and it's Joey Carter. Carter already with the 65-yard touchdown. He'll go 66 yards here, and Cedar Park has got a whopping 10-point lead. But late in the 4th, Aledo down by 3. Luke Bishop, he'll look and find Jess Anders on the sideline, and he'll dance and do some nice footwork here and get his way into the end zone. A 34-yard touchdown in the win, 21-17. Aledo puts the win and pulls it right out of the hat for interim head coach Steve Wood, who takes over a program that's won 4 titles in 5 years. The former defensive coordinator again does his athletic director proud. You know, Coach Buck, Tim Buchanan, is not head coach there for the first time since 1992. He's now the athletic director. What a win for Aledo. Let's get reaction from the guys who called it, Tom Franklin and Jeff Power.
Tom Franklin and Jeff Power from McLean Stadium in Waco, where we saw a dandy football game to raise the curtain on the 2014 high school football season. The Aledo Bearcats come from behind, trailing the entire game until scoring on a 34-yard touchdown pass from Luke Bishop to Jess Anders with just over a minute to play to take a 21-17 win over the Cedar Park Timberwolves. The 2 defending champions in the last 2 years in Class 4A put on quite a show for the fans here tonight, Jeff.
They really did. They duked it out back and forth all night long, but kind of almost unfitting that a broken coverage play for the Black Rain defense ended up costing them. Jess Anders open on what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown. He was wide open in the corner, made the catch from Luke Bishop and scored. And that Black Rain defense outside of that was sensational for Cedar Park all night long, but they bent at the worst time.
Well, you know, the Black Rain defense played havoc in the backfield all night long with the Aledo offense bottling up the running game, forcing Luke Bishop to run and escape and make plays. And what a magician Luke Bishop has turned out to be to keep plays alive, either make some positive yards or to just get rid of the football and not turn the ball over, because he was in trouble a lot tonight.
Well, and it's that 3-prong attack. It's the fact that Bishop knows that when a play's breaking down, he knows to go look for Ryan Newsom, who can make something happen downfield. And we saw that tonight. He kept the drive alive, making a catch over his shoulder that was almost magical. And throughout the night, Alito's defense made key plays when they needed to make them, big stops, and they come away with a victory, a hard-fought win. But don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion, as they like to say in the Houston area. 21-17 win for Aledo. This is huge, but Cedar Park can walk away here feeling really good about themselves as well. And hey, these two teams might meet up again for a state championship. Who knows?
And for Cedar Park, big shoes to fill as the quarterback of the offense, with Nate Grimm being gone and Jake Percorny come in and acquitted himself quite well in running the attack tonight.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Percorny, one of those guys that kind of had to step up big. They had a quarterback that got hurt earlier in the summer, so Percorny was the man tonight and showed a lot of poise out there, looked really strong in the first quarter, and most of the third quarter had a lot of help from Joey Carter. Joey with some big plays, a 65-yard run, 66-yard scamper. But no doubt about it, these two teams ought to feel really good about themselves and the way they played tonight, and they opened up McLean Stadium, and nobody here is walking away feeling like they got cheated. I can tell you that.
And I tell you what, anybody who goes to see a Cedar Park game, keep your eye on number 5, because Joey Carter is Mr. Excitement anytime he touches the football.
He absolutely is, and they get him the ball in open space, and he can tight rope down those sidelines with the best of them. He's got so much speed, and Miles Cheatham on defense on that front 7. Watch out for Cedar Park all season.
These two teams will be in it in December, that's for sure, when it comes around. But tonight, the night belongs to the Aledo Bearcats. They win it 21-17 over the Cedar Park Timberwolves.
Other action out of 5A in the North Central Texas area. A couple of preseason district favorites. Ennis on the road taking on Mansfield Timberview. Timberview's Wolves up 15-13 third quarter. Trayvon Armstead, 12-yard touchdown run. Extra point no good, but they're up 21-13. Then later in the third, Trey Elliott comes back for the Lions. Short run, 2-point conversion backed on. Game tied at 21. In the fourth quarter, all Wolves, however. Myron Gaillard with the pass from Devin Williams. Knights moves for the end zone. Wolves score 14 unanswered in the fourth. They go on to win it 34-21. And taking a look at the top 10 in 5A, you saw that one, the big showdown. Aledo with the win over Cedar Park. How about that East Texas big showdown, Longview and Lufkin? And it was all Lufkin in that one. Like we said, there were some surprising results. Of course, Ennis there losing out to Timberview, and what you just saw there, and Tyler in Plano with a big win over for JT as well.
What about A&M Consolidated going down?
Yeah, well, in Copper's Cove, of course, one of the teams to watch. Jack Welch always with a really competitive group in Central Texas. One thing we've seen about A&M Consolidated, they're going to be one of the teams to watch out of the Central Texas, Brazos Valley region, obviously, when they get to the postseason. They've been building toward this moment, but they take a little step back tonight.
Let's take a break here on Scoreboard Live. Coming up next, it's off to H-Town, Waco. Greg Tepper will give us a lowdown of the greater Houston area. You're watching Scoreboard Live. To the Super Syntex we go. 6A's Colleen against 5A's Leander. And Leander's quarterback sensation, Brandon Hopp, got a little hop, finds his running back, Darian McClatcher, for the 25-yard score. Leander fans are fired up in the opener. Colleen quarterback Kenneth Arnold, he'll answer back with a 40-yard touchdown pass to Christian Bernard. And just like that, we got a tight one brewing. Colleen's running back sensation, Brian Rubin, strikes pay dirt here from 3 yards out. Colleen would win this, or actually go down in the end, 62-38. The final in that one, a lot of scoring. And joining us now, Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, my co-anchor on some of the early stuff on Fox Football Friday. Tep, what is the buzz in the 7-1-3?
Or the 2-8-1.
Oh, or the 2-8-1. Man, you got all your choices. But, you know, it's kind of the same kind of teams we're looking at every year. Katy, you know, maybe some new teams like Fort Bend Elkins can up and surprise some people. But, you know, Katy's probably the team to go through in the Houston area. But why don't we take a look at some Houston highlights right now. We start with Pearland Dawson and Richmond George Ranch. We've got high expectations for Richmond George Ranch. They are entering the season, and we're going to start with a punt, which sounds a little odd, but not when it's Xavier Marks. You're going to want to remember this name for George Ranch. He starts going the wrong way. Bad idea until he turns it into this. Turns it, gets some nice blocking, makes his way all the way into the end zone. Touchdown for Xavier Marks and George Ranch. They would not be done. Marks, another highlight reel play. He takes the handoff, and he is gone, making people miss all the way to the end zone. 35-17, George Ranch rolls over Pearland Dawson. Clear Lake and Port Neches Groves starting the first quarter knotted at 1. Adam Morse finds a streaking Jack Giblin for the touchdown. That puts the Indians in front for the first time tonight. third quarter, it was pouring rain all night. But Morse buys some time, looks, finds Giblin again. This time, great catch, 53 yards, and a 3-touchdown lead for Port Neches Groves. They would not look back. They soar to a 38-13 victory. The aforementioned Fort Bend Elkins, you're going to want to remember the name, Jonathan Giles. He does it all. Here he is, third play from scrimmage, swings it out to Darren Woods, and he does the rest. 41 yards and an early 7-0 Knights lead. Next Elkins possession, it's the same play, same results. Giles, Woods, touchdown, 14-0 midway through the first. Move on to the second quarter. Bel Air, the Knights are dancing. Bel Air with a chance to tie the game, but Kenneth Murray steps in front of the Drayvon Smith pass, 2 yards deep in the end zone. One of 3 Cardinals turnovers deep in Elkins territory, and it was all Elkins tonight, 52-27. And you got to feel good about Elkins. That's a team with a lot of firepower.
That's what it looked like to Bel Air, those highlights all night long, looking at it. It was just coming out of them waves.
Shutter effect.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
course of the night.
Yeah, they looked very good. And Jonathan Giles, a Texas Tech commit, you want to remember that name. He's a playmaker of the highest order.
Really like George Ranch. I think that's a team we've been talking about that's going to be a dangerous team as the season progresses.
I think you're exactly right. Got to remember, this is a young program, a program that hasn't been around very long, and I believe they're entering their third or fourth season of varsity play. But this is a team we think can make that next step. They can go from being a good Houston area team to a team that can maybe challenge for a state championship.
Check out Tep's great work at TexasFootball.com. Let's take a break here on Scoreboard Live. You know, you've heard of Malik the Freak Jefferson. Well, this guy is ready to roll of Mesquite Pete. He's only made 200 tackles and 21 sacks. We'll check on his Pirates tonight. Plus, Corbett Smith of the Dallas Morning News will chime in after this.
This summer.
This is back up to North Central Texas, and that's Mesquite Poteet taking on Lancaster. Pirates quarterback Tyrell Alexander keeping it, the freeze fake, and then 44 yards for the early lead for Lancaster. You've heard all about Malik Jefferson, outstanding linebacker, one of the best defensive recruits, if not the best, in the United States of America. Well, he comes through and issues his justice there on the sack. However, this night belongs to the Lancaster comes back. They win it again. Jefferson, big play. 33-2, the final score. The Tigers with a win.
Stunner, we bring you six-man football on gravel. Check it out. We begin with Rockwall Heritage running back Westmoreland. He ran for 178 yards in this game. Rockwall didn't even throw a single pass on the night. They didn't need to, and they roll 58-0 over Prairie Lee. Pretty impressive.
Well, a lot of history there because Prairie Lee were the first ever six-man football game was played, and Prairie Lee restarted this program a few years ago, taking on the Heritage Christian of Rockwall. A little long road trip down there, but it works off.
Interesting not to even throw a pass and win that big. All right, let's welcome to the show now Corbett Smith of the Dallas Morning News. Corbett, it was dodgeball at South Lake Carroll tonight as Todd Dodge tried to slay the Dragons in a matchup of Austin Westlake and South Lake Carroll. Todd faced 6 former assistants as the Westlake coach tonight and almost pulled off the upset, losing 17-14.
I mean, it really is amazing. Obviously, he knows how to defend the offense that he pretty much started there at South Lake Carroll because they held Ryan Agnew, a very, very strong quarterback for Carroll. He was under 100 yards passing, under 100 yards rushing, threw a couple of picks, and was very uncharacteristically rattled there by Westlake's defense. And this was a Westlake team that really didn't have much coming back in the way of offense. They didn't return a starter on offense. They had a sophomore quarterback. A lot of things stacked against them, and yet they still had a chance there late. Recovered an onside kick after they had scored to cut it to 3, and the drive just stalled at midfield. But really impressive performance by Todd Dodge. I don't think there's any question that he's going to get something started there at Westlake.
Corbett, Desoto, for the past few years, we've been saying they've been close, not able to take home that box of cigars. How about your thoughts on the Eagles when you see them after that first game shootout win tonight?
Well, it's Tristan Wallace that everybody's really looking at. The phenomenal performance tonight, 238 yards of rushing, a bunch of touchdowns, threw the ball well. If he plays to the level that people think he will, and Todd Peterman and Claude Mathis there, their two coaches really have a high opinion of what his ceiling is. If he plays up to that ceiling, I think that they're the state title's favorite. The reason is because they return so much on defense, whereas Allen only returns one starter and a bunch of guys who got some experience. But this is really a loaded DeSoto team, as it always is, but they've got a set of receivers that Mathis said might be the fastest group of receivers that they've ever had there. Now, just think about that. They've had some great receivers with Ryan Polite on down the line with his quarterbacking skills and that group of receivers. I think they've got 3 Division I type prospects, catching the ball. Just a phenomenal array of talent there for Mathis and DeSoto.
Thanks, brother. Make sure you check out Corbett on Sports Day HS at 11 on Fridays right here on Fox Sports Southwest as we simulcast his show on the radio, 1310 The Ticket, with David Newberry. And it's interesting when you look at DeSoto, you and I are just kind of taken back by a quarterback so tall because we're used to Desmond White, who's just been a terror in the DFW Metroplex for years now.
Well, Des White packs so much power into the punch and to be such a small package there. Now Tristan Wallace looks so much bigger, so much larger. But he might be able to play larger than life. And as Corbett, I think, so astutely put, they've got receivers. They've got talent. It's going to be great races. You think about DeSoto, Cedar Hill, Allen, even Geyer, several of the teams around the Metroplex are going to be difficult in that 6th classification to watch tonight.
Going to be fun to watch Desmond White at TCU because I think he's going to get a chance. That guy was a playmaker. And speaking of quarterbacks, coming up next on Scoreboard Live, we're talking all kinds of fun as Aaron Hardigan joins us with a look at the top recruits in the country. Find out where the amazing Kyler Murray ranks. The 2-time state title MVP goes for the three-peat. Next.
Welcome back to High School Scoreboard Live. Aaron Hardigan here with this fall's rapid recruiting look, and kicking off opening week with a look at the top 10 players in the state of Texas, a group led by Mesquite Poteet linebacker Malik Jefferson. Now, while Jefferson is not yet committed to a program as he awaits his official visits this fall, 7 of the 10 here have already made their decisions. 6 of those 7, in fact, committed to SEC programs. 4 to Texas A&M, the highest rated of them being Gladewater defensive tackle Dalen Mack, followed by Cedar Hill receiver DeMarcus Lodge. Now, Keller's 6'5", 346-pound offensive lion Maya Tahima will follow brother Sion to LSU, while the lone Big 12 commit, Stephenville quarterback Jarrett Stidham, has decided to verbal his talents to Coach Cliff Kingsbury and Texas Tech. The one thing in common among all 10, though, they're ones to watch this season. As we kick it back to the 2, bringing you their highlights each and every week, Rick and Craig.
Thank you, Aaron. It wasn't that long ago that Longview and Lufkin were hated district rivals. Now they get to be hated non-district rivals since Longview's in 15-5A and Lufkin in 16-5A at A. Martin Stadium down in the Pine Woods there. Lufkin early on. Desmond Chumley to Emmanuel Gordon, a big pass, but Blake Johns big there for the Pack, and the Pack had it going. Here's a big run here for Chumley, breaks it through. Chumley takes it deep down into Lufkin territory, but Steven Sewell comes back and takes it across for the score. Like we said, they used to be district rivals. They'll still fight it, and look at that. Lufkin pounding third-ranked Longview, 44-14.
Des Bryant of the Cowboys like that. All right, we go over to Plano and the Wildcats against John Tyler. We pick up the action in the third. Bryson Gibson making the interception and going 50 yards on the pick 6. And John Tyler leads it 7-0. Then Plano's Brandon Stevens. He'll throw a bomb, a 65-yard strike to tie the game at 7. But it would not be enough. John Tyler would go on to win it. They got a lot of starters back, 16 of them. They win at 30-12.
And Kilgore and Nacogdoches, the Raging Red, of course, into that state championship round last year and into the end zone is Jacora Smith with a touchdown for the Bulldogs. Then it's Xavier Gaona to the air to Jared Wood for the score, but Knack comes back and wins as time expires. A big upset, 27-25.
In El Paso, Andrus and Coronado, we kind of gave you a sneak peek of the score on this one, but here is Brandon Bogan getting into the end zone. Then Coronado punting, and check out Johnny Smith of Andrus. He'll take it back 77 whopping yards for the score. That made it 14 all, but from there, it was all Coronado. On a 4th and 2, Jonathan Millen will take it over. They win it 48-28. Let's take a break. Coming up next, it's off to the Alamo City, the capital city. Plus, the DQ Big Game of the Week makes a stop at the #1 team in Class 4A, Stephenville, after this short timeout.
Region and into San Antonio ISD. Edison, yeah, they love their Bears taking on Pleasanton, and Brian Bolton with the football trying to turn the corner and then wrapped up. Nice job by John Lopez, and then Pleasanton turning it upfield. Anthony Leal with a nice run. Jersey being grabbed notwithstanding. Raul Garcia looking to throw. The lefty hit as he throws. That ball is picked. Blown up by Ramon Martinez. Michael Benavides with the pick. It was 7-0 Eagles at the half, and the Eagles go on to the win over Edison 13-7.
What a season starter for San Antonio. Brandeis and Johnson. You remember that guy Hunter Ritterman? Well, he's now at Texas Tech. He was the old quarterback. Jags up with the field goal in the opening drive thanks to this nifty run by Braden Williams. However, check out what happens on the ensuing kickoff. Tommy Woods, he'll take it at his 11-yard line, and he is off to the races. Oh, my goodness, gets all the way down. Where is the coverage? We saw a lot of breakdowns in special teams on opening night. And then 89 yards later, here you see this, and Johnson went right back up to Williams again. And Brandeis, too much, 26-17.
It was just a few years back when Lake Travis completed its drive for 5, and standing in their way were the Midway Panthers. They won that. Now, both teams are Class 6A schools, so they would decide to meet in non-district play, but Lake Travis having to go short-handed in the game as their outstanding quarterback, Dom DeLera, held out of the ball game, as well as wide receiver Grant Foster, and also a defensive back as well. And so it was a shootout back and forth, and the defensive back they missed for Lake Travis back in the secondary. Chris Roller not there as well. And a late touchdown for Lake Travis, followed by a missed snap on an extra point try, and then a tack-on touchdown by Midway. Panthers win it 38-30. Both teams are going to be really good. Lake Travis playing a little short-handed tonight.
Coming up next, we got more games from H-Town in the DQ Big Game of the Week. The Fun Bus rolls into Stephenville. Here's Neil Beasley.
Hey, we are kicking off the 2014 season of the DQ Big Game of the Week, and we're coming in style. Got the Fox Sports Southwest girls with us. We're on the Express bus. Look at that thing with all our pictures on it. Even Jeff Irwin, the photographer's on there. And why are we here? We're here to cover the #1 ranked team in the state. Well, wait a minute. #1 team in which state? South Anchorage is coming from Alaska, 4,000 miles. They are the #1 ranked team in Alaska, the biggest state, against the biggest state. It's South Anchorage, the Wolverines, against the #1 ranked team, Stephenville, the Yellow Jackets. It is certainly big enough to be our
Presented by Ford every Saturday night on Fox Sports Southwest.
Let's roll out the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week watch list. Two-time state champion and Texas A&M commit Kyler Murray leading the way. Nebraska-bound Rodney Anderson of Katy is expected to run up for another 2,000 yards this season. Splendora has a splendid one, and Jay Bradford, DeMarcus Lodge of defending state champ Cedar Hill has every college drooling, and Manville stud receiver Gary Haynes catches everything within 10 yards of him. He's always open above his head. Make sure you nominate your favorite player for their performances on and off the field. You can do so at playeroftheweek.com. It is Built Ford Tough. Let's go to Sweeney as the 4A flexes its muscle against 3A's Van Vleck. And Cody Erickson to Anthony Simmons. And Simmons says, I'm going to score a touchdown. That made it 6-0. Sweeney in control after that 16-yard touchdown pass. But Vleck would answer. Montrell Brown from 2 yards out. That would make it 6-6. They don't need extra points. Van Vleck's Montre Brown again in from 1 yard out. And the V's are going crazy. They're up 12-6. But Sweeney too much. Cody Erickson gets in, and they win it 32-12. The final there. All right, we go to the Permian Basin. Monterey and Odessa High. Sebastian Galindo. He's a good one. Waste no time filling in the shoes of C.J. Addison. Oh, look at him go. 50-plus yards here, and the Broncos lead at 7-0. And then the Plainsmen say, happy birthday, Broncos. A muffed punt here situation, and that leads to this. Matthew Montez getting in there, and later on the Plainsman threatening again. Hunter Spade in some trouble. He throws off his back foot. It is deflected. Odessa High beats Lubbock Monterey 45-7.
Bring it back a few miles east to Midland, Smithson Valley. The long road trip from the San Antonio region out to Midland, and a quick pick there for the Bulldogs. Noah Marquez with the interception. So the ball goes over. And then later on, just walking in untouched, Reed for the touchdown. Back comes Smithson Valley, however, after a muff punt by Midland. Josh Atkins, quarterback draw, finds the end zone, ties the score at 7. In the second quarter, it's Kyle Kirshner rolling back the opposite way off the pitch on the reverse. 14-7 Smithson Valley. But look at that final. Midland High, the Bulldogs, with the win over Larry Hills Ball Club. That's a long road trip out there and a nice win for Midland High over the Rangers.
You know, what is going on in the Permian Basin? We saw another Midland team take out Keller on Thursday night, but man, seeing Smithson Valley go down to these guys, that's somewhat of a surprise.
Yeah, it is, and I think that it's impressive to see some of these early season wins by the teams out there. You mentioned Odessa High, of course, getting the win over Lubbock Monterey. And early on in the season, we get a chance to just see how these teams feel out, and there's these long road trips. Sometimes it can take a toll on a football team.
Let's take a break here on High School Scoreboard Live. We got the DQ Big Game of the Week right around the corner.
Speaking of long road trips.
Exactly. You imagine coming from Alaska? We've never seen a team from Alaska play in Texas in high school football. You will see that next. Got a great one between Canadian and Bushland. Two teams with a lot of tradition. We pick it up 10-7 Wildcats. Colton Thompson, he'll fumble the ball, and Canadian recovers. They got a lot of trophies out there. Love those guys. And then Benigno Heredia, he'll miss the 34-yard field goal. Although it looked like it went in. Kind of an optic illusion, but the referees, they're always right. Then Tanner Schaefer, he'll get sacked on his own goal line by Noah Moore, who says we will have no more of that. Still 10-7. It's Caden Morse. And the Morse code fumbles the football here. You're getting the sense that this was kind of a bad time when our cameras were there. Well, in the end, the number 6 team in the state, they win at 44-21.
Speaking of state-ranked teams down in the Brazos Valley, Franklin hosting Rogers. This was supposed to be a good game, but it was already 21-0 Franklin at the half, and then it became 27-0 Dylan Smitherman on the touchdown, and then it's Morgan Brewer up the middle, 35-0. Brady Malavets with the keeper taking it in to the end zone. That gets them on the board, but too little too late for Rogers as Rogers falls to Franklin 37-7.
So let's look at the Class 3A top 10 and some interesting storylines tonight. Look at all of the upsets. I mean, you're on this poll and you rank these guys. What in the world's going on?
Yeah, Tatum, I thought, would beat Newton. In fact, I picked Tatum to beat Newton. That one doesn't surprise me. Tatum, really good ball club, obviously, in East Texas. But Hallettsville falling to Columbia. We thought Franklin would take care of business. They did there. But some of those other ones, in addition to that, the New Boston-Atlanta game. Wow. Atlanta with the win over New Boston. Yeah, that's a little bit surprising. New Boston and Dangerfield, of course, district rivals. And Dangerfield falls to Gladewater.
I tell you, Dangerfield getting no respect in that one. All right, when we come back on High School Scoreboard Live, we will have the play of the night. You don't want to miss it. Is it from Desoto? Find out next on Fox Sports Southwest.
By DQ, the stop sign of Texas. For the best treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. Stop at DQ. And by State Farm. Visit texas.statefarm.com to get to a better state.
And welcome back to High School Scoreboard Live. Rick Renner, Craig Way, as we kick off the new high school football season. How about the play of the night? We got to go back to that Aledo game, and what a game it was with Cedar Park. So many storylines with Coach Buck, now the athletic director, Steve Wood, the head coach. And look at this play. This is the game winner as Joey Carter breaks free for the game-winning touchdown as Aledo comes back to beat Cedar Park.
Well, it says a lot of things, about Aledo as number one being able to fight back. But I think it also says something about Joe Willis's ball club at Cedar Park. He's got playmakers. They had a chance to win. In fact, they were within a minute 6 seconds of winning that football game. Give a lot of credit to Aledo for being able to come through and do it. All right, jumping down to Class 2A. Remember, this is the former 1A. 1A is now 6-man. You follow? So this being the schools that were 1A are now 2A. That includes the #1 team in 2A. That's Refugio. Big showdown tonight between March and Gulfweight, and it turned out to be not that big a showdown as they played at University of Mary Hardin-Baylor in Belton. Mark Panthers with a big win, 41-14 on that one. And among those who lost, Heiko surprised by Dublin. That was a little bit of a surprise. And look at that final, Corrigan-Camden against Centerville. Figured that would be a close ball game, but 60-40, 60-4A, 40. Speaking of fours, let's move to 4A, and we'll have more on Stephenville in just a moment. But Navasota playing the team from Mexico tomorrow. Of course, Graham over Vernon. Carthage, the defending state champs, except, of course, they're now a 4A school. Won big over Hallsville, and then Lamar winning over Galveston Ball. Argyle, watch the Eagles during this season, of course. They beat Abilene Wiley. They're a state champion as well. Gilmer, always tough there with Jeff Traylor's ball club. We told you about Kilgore winning earlier, and then Salina over Liberty Christian Academy, 47-21.
You know, it is really interesting. It was an off season of trying to figure out who's 6A, 5A, 4A. Sam moves up to 1A. There's one district where Argyle is in the same district with Dallas Carter and Carrollton Farmer Branch Ranchview. I'm trying to, we're losing some rivalries here a little bit with some of the realignment of everything, but boy, the UIL did a fantastic job with all this to kind of straighten it out, but it is a little confusing.
They had a very, very difficult and challenging job. They always do the biennial realignment. It's not only about getting the schools together and putting them in districts, and it's the driving districts. I know there's been a lot of jokes made about the map with the pins on it. They have that, but they use computer models as well. They do all of those things. So yes, while you do see, Rick, some things like Carter winding up in a district with Argyle, that's a lot due to the urban schools and the ever-shrinking enrollment that's been going on in some of the inner-city school districts. So UIL does as best as they can to group all those schools together, make for an interesting district game when those two play.
Yeah, you see the shrinkage, and then you see the other schools just getting big, like Byron Nelson at Trophy Club. They're now Class 6A. I still can't believe that.
Suburban sprawl. Leander Rouse is the only one out of Leander, but they're a 6A school down there, and it continues the growth in the Leander ISD.
You know, Craig, we've seen a lot of first with the DQ Big Game of the Week. Tonight marks the 12th season, and we've never seen a team from Alaska play in Texas until tonight. A three-time state champ in South Lake or South Anchorage, who can practice pretty much 5 days in the summer because the sun's up all day. But that's still not enough practice time for the #1 team in the state, Stephenville. The Yellow Jackets once played Monterey Tech of Mexico in the opener and lost, yet still went on to win the state championship that year. Here's Neil Beasley, who drove the Fox Sports Express into Stephenville.
Alaska, the last frontier, land of the midnight sun. The state of Rhode Island could fit into it 425 times. Dog mushing, the official sport. But football's finding its way. Now, unfortunately, hey, it's cold in them there hills. I guess that's why South Anchorage High School is heading to Texas. And these guys coming from a place just known for their nasty weather. In fact, multiple days with sub-zero temperatures throughout the winter, but that will not be the case here in Stephenville. Taking on the Yellow Jackets, folks, it's just going to be hot. Texas hot.
We've worn our thermals throughout the last couple of weeks and all the sunny days where it's 74 degrees. So we thermal up and then practice on our black zones of our end zone. The heat doesn't get you, it's execution. If you don't know how to execute and you start to panic, I don't care what the weather's like, you're going to start to melt down.
And these Wolverines come with some bite. 3 large school state titles in just 10 years of existence.
Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. But the Stephenville Yellow Jackets know a thing or two about winning. 5 Texas titles of their own, and plenty of room for one more this year. Jackets looking to lay out the Wolverines, but watch out. South, the #1 team this year in Alaska. But Stephenville always has their can-do attitude. one of the loudest fan bases in Texas, looking to be heard north of the border, way north of the border. Hey, it's game time now, and in 2014, we knew we either had to go big or go home. So guess what? We decided to go big. How big? Check out the Southwest Express bus. Hey, you thought Rick Renner's head was big before? He's on the side of the bus. We got Aaron. I'm on the side of the bus. We got the Fox Sports Southwest girls with Kami and Liddy. Photographer Jeff Irwin on the bus. Producer Clark Rowe. Everybody's on the side of this bus. Hey, let's strap them up. Stephenville is Gillespierville these days. Coach Joe running the show. Wife Jody, the cheer sponsor. Daughter Chelsea on volleyball, cheer, and 8 other things. Youngster Jake, a ball boy and future varsity jacket. And of course, stud senior Josh, middle linebacker and a team leader. And once again, these jackets ready to sting. Texas Tech commit Jared Stidham at quarterback, a top 5 QB in Texas. The Wolverines, though, have players too. But if they want to take down Texas, they'll need attitude.
Listen up right now. This first half is our half. Kickoff team, you run your lanes, be smart, go after them. Right now, it's not about Alaska football. It's about South Anchorage on the map, kicking some Texas butt!
First half, Stephenville with it first. Wolverine D giving up no big plays, but they can't get off the field. A 15-play drive, 75 yards in all, 6-0 Jackets. Anchorage ball, the dark side showing their good side. 10-play drive, but it stalls with no points. They have to punt it away. This time, Stephenville wastes no time. Super sophomore Keegan Williams, 52 yards here. He finished with over 150 total yards in the first half. 14-0 at the time. Jackets get a 3-and-out, and then this.
Then he gets rid of this one, and it's caught. Excuse me. It's a first down. Inside the 20. Inside the 15. Keegan Williams. Touchdown.
42 yards in all. 22-0. Stephenville imposing their will. In fact, another 3-and-out leads to another Jacket sting. Stidham flips to Williams. He's in. 29-0. That's your score at the break.
That's the only thing that we're concerned about is us right now. Right now, we won the first half. Right now, it's 0-0 second half. You take that mentality right now.
Yes, sir.
It's 0-0 second half. I want to win both of them. You understand?
Yes, sir.
I'm a selfish, greedy dude. I want to win both of them, all right?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Want to read?
Second half, Wolverines trying to bite, but Jacket D stinging all night long and pitches the shutout as well. Then, just for good measure, Stidham finds Josh Noel. Christmas comes early. 36-0 ball game. 43-0 is your final. Williams, Stidham, and that D showing their Texas-sized talents.
They're big guys. They're real good athletes. They came down here. They're ready to play. It's just, I mean, we just came out being the better football team, and that's what matters, I guess.
This is Alaska coming down here.
Yeah, we got like maybe, I think it was one tape of film. Really didn't have anything on it. It was okay.
Football's football, so we knew they were going to come out here and put 11 guys across from us and play every down. So we just kind of did what we had to do.
Travel all the way from Alaska and do all of that business, play in our heat. Although right now it's beautiful. I need a jacket, but it's hot for them. But a great bunch of kids. We got better tonight because of the team that we got to play.
All right, in this battle of number ones against Alaska, the Stephenville Yellow Jackets showed that Texas is bigger. Photographer Jeff Irwin and producer Clark Rowe. I'm Neil Beasley with your DQ Game of the Week.
Next week's DQ Big Game of the Week, one of my favorite rivalries in the state. Texas High against Arkansas High. Longhorns and Hogs. Sorry we didn't put your picture on the bus there, Craigers. But your head is just too big. It won't fit on the bus.
That's you saying that. Okay.
But what an experience for Anchorage.
It was. For them to come down, I think, was really important. To get a chance to find out about, high school football at an elevated level. And they've done a good job. Obviously, they're a state championship caliber team year in, year out. They are a state champion. But it is Alaska, and they were playing a Texas school, not only a Texas school, one of the best Texas schools year in, year out, one of the best coaches year in, year out, Joseph Gillespie. And the result, Rico, was baked Alaska.
We had a lot of really good first week matchups. One that we've never seen, two back-to-back state champions trying to start their defense and go for the three-peat in Denton-Guyer against Allen. Allen just proved again that they're the best in the state.
Right, and a little bit of that happens, and then, of course, there was another surprise there at the 3A level. Cameron Yo, a defending state champion, won a state title, got knocked out by Connolly High School. They're in the Super Centex region, so, you know, those things happen in week one. That's one of the fun things. It does happen in week one.
You know, there was some news, though, that I'm hearing. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Look at that, ×2. Rick
That's
Renner.
right. Those my boys, Carter and Ryder, identical twins, future.
Get ready for college football.